Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. All right, we're really getting into it in this Manifestation Playbook series, and I really hope you're enjoying it. I know that I've received some amazing feedback already about how everything that we're talking about is looking at manifestation differently, or it's deepening into some things that you already knew or maybe didn't know how to apply. Today, we're really talking about one of my absolute favorite topics, and probably I would say one of the most important parts about manifesting, and the part that no one really talks about, and that's healing. That is your healing work. You cannot call in anything new. It's going to be really hard to call in anything new if you have not done the healing work around the things that you're calling in. We all have old belief systems, unprocessed emotions, traumas that we haven't really worked through, and we're just burying them down. We don't want to see them. We don't want to hear them, understand them. We have this old programming, outdated belief systems. Okay. Things that we're carrying that are not even ours to carry. And when we have all of this energetic space, and it could even be physical space because things manifest through the body. And if we have all of these things that are taking up space within ourselves, you're going to have a hard time calling in the things that you want. And the reason that you're going to have a hard time calling in the thing that you want is because something else is taking up that space. It's like you want to try to find a parking spot and you can't park where someone else is parked already. You know what I mean? Like you can't. So the car can't get in there. It's the same thing with healing and with manifesting. If you already have this old belief system that's taking up room, nothing else can get in there. So your desires are not going to be able to land. Okay. Now, healing is the art of clearing your energetic channels, your physical channels, and emotional channels. I mean, spiritual, soul-based. There's so many different ways and things that you can clear out of your energetic field. Okay. So in order to call in something, it needs a place to live. So the moment that you start to clear out the energy of that stuck energy, that old energy, the moment you start to do that, then the things that you wanted can start coming in. Okay. So manifestation requires space. The things that you want require space, and healing is going to create that space for you. Okay. So healing is an absolute non-negotiable in manifestation. Now, this is one of the parts that people don't want to see. And people look at manifestation as all fun and games. Like, it's fun. It's so fun to manifest. And it is. Don't get me wrong. Like, it is. And also, you got to do the work. Like, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want these things? You have to allow yourself to do the healing work to unwind those old stories in order for you to have the things you want. And for me, it is an absolute non-negotiable. The other aspect of this is that, and this is, I say this all the time, it is the scariest statistic that I have ever heard in my life. 95% of your programming and your life, 95% of your daily life is run from your subconscious mind. What? Your subconscious mind, meaning that you are not conscious of the actions you take, of the things that you do, of the patterns and the habits that you have. 95%. That is so scary because we're basically just running on autopilot. So the moment that we start to unravel these things, we start to become really self-aware. of some of the patterns that we have. And if you have these old stories that say like, I'm not worthy of this thing, I'm not worthy of the things that I want, or I can't have this, it's not available to me, I'm not enough, I'm not lovable, right? All of those things are going to show up and you don't even realize it, and you're self-sabotaging. You are sabotaging yourself and you cannot figure out why. You're like, why am I not doing this? Why? Because you can't help it. Okay? Right there. Because you cannot help it, because it's subconscious. So starting to understand these things and making it a part of the non-negotiable to go to the places that feel very uncomfortable and very scary is going to be the way through. Clear it out, call in the thing. So the body stores unresolved emotions and traumas and limiting beliefs and fears and doubts. And it stores all of these things, basically anything that was really overwhelming on the nervous system. Your body, your energetic fields are going to store them. And what we call in spinal energetics, we call these bound tension patterns. And these bound tension patterns, they come together like a knot. Like think about when you have a knot in your back or a knot in your neck, right? Like it's hard to move. Like sometimes you can't even move your back or move your neck because of this pattern. Hello. Same thing. Same thing here. So you're going to have a hard time moving forward, allowing in the things if that bound tension pattern is keeping it stuck. And all energy that is within the body, okay, within the physical body, emotional body, energetic body, etc., it is all information. Energy is information. And if the things in the field are tangled up, the frequency just can't transmit clearly. So while the mind is saying, yes, I want this thing, I'm so excited for it, I'm going to start working towards it, you're starting to send out a signal, and then you hit a block, and the block is saying, that's not safe, run. That's not safe, hell to the no. And it will start blocking you at every step of the way, because at some point, the feeling or the newness or whatever the thing is, actually, like you told your brain, and your brain is now listening, right? Because the mind is always listening to what you think you need or what it thinks you need. So if you said, oh, I can never do something like that, oh, that's so scary, or you heard a story of somebody that failed at something, that had a really bad relationship, or you experienced it yourself at some point, but now you have moved on and you're still stuck in that old pattern. So that frequency cannot transmit clear, okay? So when this happens, we have to start to understand like how you're blocking yourself. You have to be aware enough to see it, number one. And that right there is half the battle. Half the battle is recognizing where you are actually blocked. Where in your life do you keep repeating the same thing or keep coming up against something and knowing that it's like a block for you? For me, one of the things, and I've worked through it and am still working through it, is, and it's going to sound really silly, but my calendar, I started to recognize that I was having like a nervous system response to booking things on my calendar, because I don't know if it was like I was feeling overwhelmed by all of these things, or I was having a hard time trying to create time and space within, because I didn't know how, or I didn't know if I was taking away time from family or from the shop or from myself or from friends, or fill in the blank, right? Like whatever it is. And then I would all of a sudden go into a freeze state. And I started to recognize this. I'm like, why can't I like get back to people? So if you were one of those people, I apologize. I was in a freeze state, right? But we've worked through it since then. And now I started to understand it. I'm like, okay, what does this feel like for me? Why am I doing this? Okay, well, if I start taking on more people, then I have to start doing, I have to start creating more days. And then that means that then I started to realize how it was kind of going back to a corporate structure. And I kept coming back to more structure, which I need structure. We need structure. But it kept going back to like old wounds of not being able to do the things that I wanted to do in corporate. Like it actually came back to that. So once I started to realize that, I'm like, I make my own schedule. I have freedom, right? I had to start to unwind that and like package it in a different way and say, this is what I love doing. I didn't love that work. I love doing this work. So it's okay. It's safe. You create your calendar. So you decide where things go and when. And then to take it a step further, what I actually started to do once I started to heal through it is I actually started to give it to, I have an assistant, and I started to give it to my assistant and say, please take this on for me. And now she goes through my calendar and says, okay, yes, no, right, and starts to go through it. So I started to heal it, and now it's easy. But I was blocking myself from money, from helping people, from new experiences, from something I love doing. I love doing healing work. I was blocking myself from doing it because I had a block around really freedom, I guess, like not feeling free. But I just had to unwind it and then allow myself to call it in because it was an old pattern that I was stuck in. So once I started to do that, now here we are. And I feel so much better about it. And I started to call in more clients and I started to call in more things, but I had to do the work first. So where people get stuck in manifestation is that, and even in this healing work, is that they try to put Band-Aids on things or try to like, just be like, oh, like look the other way to some of the deeper wounds. And listen, I get it, right? Like I do. It is very uncomfortable and we don't want to face these parts of ourselves that we've been trying to hide for so long. But I want you to understand something. Those parts of you, they were never meant to be hidden. Maybe you had to hide it for a certain amount of time in order for you to find safety within it. But you weren't meant to hide from it forever. You weren't meant to bury it down deep and then carry it with you. And that's just basically what we're doing, is like we're carrying these things with us that aren't necessary, that it was never meant for you to carry. It could be somebody else's things and you are carrying their pain. You're carrying their experience with you. That's not meant for you to carry. So you really have to allow yourself to go to those really uncomfortable places and then you walk through it. And I will tell you, on the other side, it is not, you're going to be like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I am so happy I did this. I'm so happy I went there and allowed myself to experience it. And again, we're never reliving something. We're reviewing it. We're reviewing. We're not reliving things. Okay. We're going back and we're looking at it. And what we're doing is we're looking at it with different eyes. Most of the time, we're looking at it with adult eyes. Because maybe we were a kid, maybe you were a teenager when this thing happened and you were doing your best, or maybe you weren't, and that's okay. Because half the time, the things that we did, let's say if it's something you felt like you did, they were age appropriate. And someone else made us feel bad for it. Somebody else, like we got in trouble, or somebody else created shame for us. And the things that you were doing were just age appropriate. And then we never let ourselves off the hook, or we allow the pattern to continue, right? So maybe you grew up in a house where maybe there was a lot of turmoil in the house. and you kind of had to be on your best behavior all the time, which meant you had to be a people pleaser. And now you're going through your whole life living for everybody else, and you don't live in that house anymore. You're not a kid anymore. And now you're an adult, and you're still working so hard to please everybody else. And usually what that means is giving up parts of yourself and the things you want, your soul missions, your soul purposes. You're giving up the things that bring you joy to make sure other people are comfortable. But you're not a kid anymore. And we can unwind that. And you don't have to do that because you have something bigger to do. I can guarantee you right now, you were not put on this earth to people please. You were not put on this earth to just please others and live for somebody else's joy or contentment or just to not make them angry. You weren't. You were put on this earth for your own soul mission. And you're not even living into it. And what happens when we stop, when we never live into our soul mission, or some of them, is we start to feel sad, which then leads to depression, which then leads to anxiety, right? And it can lead to all these things because we're not living into who we're meant to be. We're not shining as bright as we're meant to shine because we're living for everyone else. And so even when you start to go on the journey of manifesting anything, you can't allow it in because you're still living for others. And do you see how one thing as a child, or maybe a situation as a child, shapes an entire existence? And that is why healing is so profoundly important. And I never should on anybody, but I should on two things. You should be on your healing journey. And the other thing is you should be meditating, but that's a story for a different day. Those are my shoulds. And we need to allow ourselves to go there. Additionally, your environment plays a really, really big role in allowing things in. Number one is going to be your physical surroundings. So if your home, your room is cluttered, I can guarantee you your mind is cluttered. Your energetic frequency is bogged down. You have to start to clear out some of these things. Okay, clear it out so you can create a clear space, a space that feels light and airy for you to be able to work within. Because if you have so many things like you feel bogged down, and every time you turn the corner or you look, there's just things piled up and piled up. Those are energetic blockages, my friends. And listen, it happens to the best of us. It happens to me too. Like, I have 2 kids. I get it. I get busy. I understand. But notice the difference from when you clean up, how different your space feels and how much more clear you feel. You feel so much clarity. So that's just like a little side note, a little extra thing. So understanding this, okay? Your subconscious reprogramming is going to be a massive key in your healing work. And it can exponentially, once you understand this, it can exponentially clear and also clear anything and also allow in the things that you want. So when I do my $1 billion healer method, I am working with many different things, not just subconscious reprogramming, but I'm working with energy. I'm working with the quantum field. I'm working with clearing that field and understanding old patterns and belief systems that are blocking whatever it is that you want or whatever it is that you're calling in. And that's why the $1 billion healer method is so freaking powerful, because it can clear it instantaneously. And then you start to manifest instantaneously because it's done at a quantum level. So when we talk about subconscious reprogramming, what we're doing is we are reprogramming the belief systems that formed, let's say, in childhood or teenage years, or, even in adult years. I have a lot of people that I work with, a lot of clients that, if they, a lot of people that I work with are founders of businesses, and it's like they worked for other companies and they have a lot of trauma around the work environments. So there are some things like that. So it doesn't just have to be from a younger age, but a lot of them tend to be. A lot of our belief systems formed at younger childhood ages and then kept getting perpetuated over time. So everything is going to stay in a loop until it's rewritten. So when we start to rewrite, now we start to make progress. Healing reframes the stories and then installs a new one. Okay. What I do in the $1 Billion Healer method is we install new ones, new stories that you don't need those old ones anymore. The other thing is going to be shadow work. We talk about shadow work all the time at Spirit and Soul, understanding what these things were, these darker places of you, starting to bring light to them, clearing out shame, clearing out all of these things, clearing out guilt, letting go. Okay. Maybe you don't have to forgive, but maybe you do, right? Maybe it's time to just let go. And this is where we start to really see a lot of power as well, because once you start to not suppress these things anymore and not bog them down into the body and into the field and start to understand them a little more, understanding is power. Okay. Once you see the thing, you can start to truly, truly pick it up as they come up again. And as they come up, you can make new decisions. And when you start making new decisions, you go on new timelines and you start changing your life. You raise your frequency, raises the vibration. Now you're starting to what? Call in law of attraction to the things that you want, right? So you start to reclaim wholeness. You start to reclaim magnetic power. You start to have a bigger, broader magnetic power and a bold one, because when you feel in your power, your magnetism, your inner magnet is on so high that that's why these things start to manifest so fast. So that's another really, really great one, is starting to do shadow work. And that's something you could start to do right now. Like, you don't need to book a session with me or any of the other incredible healers at Spirit and Soul to start shadow work. Now, you could just start with, and I have so many episodes on shadow work that you can just go take a look and take a listen to on here about how to start going down that path. But starting to do this work is amazing. Okay. And then, of course, we have energy healing like Reiki and integrated energy therapy, or IET. And of course, spinal energetics, which is what I do. I mean, I do all of these things, but spinal energetics is my jam right now. All right. With the mixed in also now with the $1 Billion Healer method. So, and all of these things, what it comes down to is the body and the energetic field. Like we've been saying, it holds memory. It holds these bound tension patterns, and releasing these old tension patterns really allows you to free up the nervous system. It allows you to free up the energetic field and expand your field for the things that you want. It's amazing. And you could do this. This doesn't even have to be from this lifetime, by the way. It could be past lifetimes that really come up. It could be ancestral healing that you're doing. I mean, it is beyond, beyond powerful. So realistically, when you start to heal the root of the things, the manifestation grow. It just comes naturally because your vibration is high, and that's it, right? Like that's literally what it comes down to. Like you cannot soar in life if you are anchored and weighed down by all of the bullshit you've been carrying around. So what we start to do now is go down this subconscious level of healing, and we start to replace those old stories. And maybe you use start to understand it. Maybe you do a $1 Billion Healer session. Maybe You start to work with some affirmations as a prayer of the heart, which we talked about, right? And you start to do some of those things. So it starts to rewire the brain a little bit more. Energetically, you start to release stuck energy. Maybe you're doing it through an energetic healing session. Maybe you're doing it for yourself, or breath work. Breath work is another amazing one. If you haven't taken a breath work class with Brittany, woo, you're missing out, friends. Amazing. Amazing. And then when you start to do this, truly, you will start to see timelines shift. You will start to call in more and more and more. Okay. It is amazing, amazing when you start to clear out those old things. And then it's like all of a sudden your arms are open wide to it. You're like, oh, I am worthy of the things I want. Oh, I am worthy of a life that feels so good to me. Oh, I can have that thing. It is meant for me. And now you're not convincing yourself anymore of the things like that you're worthy of it. It's just innately natural within you. You don't have to convince yourself of anything because you're already living in it. And that's when like that law of assumption really sinks in, where the law of assumption says that as I assume, it will be. Right? So like I assume that things are already happening, and so they are, which is really powerful. But then now all of a sudden the belief system starts to align with the affirmations and with the laws of attraction and law of assumption and law of resonance. So all of a sudden you're resonating with the things around you. And now you start to call in those things. And that's what I want for you. I really want that for you. And please don't overlook the power and the importance truly of the healing work. I have seen massive, massive changes in people's lives. Massive. I had a girl that, she still comes in, and she's one of my I just love this client so much. And she is a different person from when she walked in the door for the first time. And I've been seeing her maybe for a year now, or like just about. And she came in and she didn't know what was blocking her. And she was sad, and she was really stuck in life and really not happy with life. And she started to do spinal energetics. And then we always talk, and do a little coaching in the in-betweens. And all of a sudden one day she came in, and I looked at her and I said, "You're different." And she said, "I feel different." And I'd actually like brought tears to my eyes, like in the moment, because I was so proud of her for doing the work. Because remember, healing work, you do your healing work. You come to healers to help you we're going to ask you to lift that vibration up and start to do this work and help you. But we can't do it without you. You heal yourself. We're just an aid, a guide in doing that. And she did the work, and she still does it. She's still doing the work, and she's committed to it. And she is a different person today than she was a year ago. And she feels better, and life feels different to her because she finally really, truly allowed herself to go there, and she committed to it. Willingness, my friends. You have to be a willing participant on your journey. And that means through the ugly, through the bad, through the hard. You have to be the willing participant to grow through it. You grow through what you go through. Okay? So when you can become the true willing participant, and you start to go down that path, it will be a roller coaster, and you're going to have good days, and you're going to have bad days, and you're going to have days where you feel like you're slipping back to an old version. And then you're going to have days where you freaking catapult forward. And that's normal and natural. And that's all part of the journey. But if you're on the journey, You're doing the work. You know what I mean? And I'm proud of you for that. So if you need help or guidance as you're doing this healing work, this is what Spirit and Soul is here for, to help you transform your life. And we know that through that, to get to the transformation, you need that healing. So on that healing journey, you reach out to us, reach out to Spirit and Soul. You can DM us. You can head on over to the website, spiritandsoulstudio.com. DM us on Instagram at Spirit and Soul Studio. You can DM me directly. I'm Tiffany Cohen on Instagram. Go there. Go to the website. See which healer calls to you. Is it me? Is it Christina? Is it Frank? Is it Gabby? Is it Brittany? Who's calling to you? What class is called to you? I can guarantee you when you get a pull, you'll know. You're going to feel that pull and you're going to know who's meant to help guide you on that journey in that moment. And then everybody here will welcome you with open arms and help you through that healing journey. And I'm really excited for you to do that. So thank you for joining me on this episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. We are almost done with this manifestation playbook series. And I really hope, and I know that you are, but I really hope that you are getting so much out of this and that you're doing the things. Do the things. Are you doing them? You better be. Because I'm giving you some juicy things here, okay, friends? And let's go. Because why are we wasting time? You know what I mean? All right. I will see you on the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast.